Welcome to Base and Boundaries podcast. I'm your host, Amy G, and this is your one-stop shop for all things mental health and music.
Hi everyone, it's Amy. Welcome to Base and Boundaries, your one-stop shop for all things mental health and music. Hope you're doing really well today. The sun's shining where I am, and I just wanted to give a massive hi and thank you to Noah, who lives not far from me. He is a 17-year-old entrepreneur, right? And he does car detailing, and I've trusted him with my pride and joy today. At this current moment, my car is being detailed. It's going to look absolutely amazing, because my car was not looking so amazing this morning. So today I wanted to talk about a subject that has, I don't know, I've identified it, and actually I've been quite quiet. Usually I would probably have had about 4 podcasts recorded. This is actually my first one, and it's going to be aired on Tuesday. So when you listen to this, I only recorded it on the Sunday because I've had a very emotionally taxing week. And as that kind of has been going on, it's put a lot in perspective for me, and I wanted to kind of go through with you my week and those emotions that have come out, and also what I found from other people where those emotions have come out. So my best friend Kirsty, who is my soul sister, I feel like we've probably been best mates for all of eternity, to be fair. Every time we've been on this planet, we've just met each other again. 5 years, we've never had an argument, we've never had anything like that, and I'm very proud to call her my best friend. However, her husband, he does speedway racing, if you know what that is, and he was in an accident on Sunday, so a week today, and he had a significant brain injury and was airlifted to hospital. And he's doing so well, but we've been at the hospital this week. Last night I spent the evening with her family, and I've never been around such beautiful people, like proper lovely souls. And even we took Bonnie the dog, it's my Labrador, and Kirsty's mum's got a golden door, so like a golden retriever Labrador, called Winnie, big up Winnie. But they literally were like best friends, like from the get-go. And I find that life is so beautiful like that, like you meet people and they just click with you. However, I've had a situation this week where someone had been going behind my back when I was clearly vulnerable to try and take advantage of me, actually, take advantage of me whilst I was in a vulnerable state. And they were messaging me on Facebook. And I was reading these messages thinking, look, I might be vulnerable, but I'm not stupid. And I sat with that and I was like, wow, in your weakest moments, someone will always try with you, like try to manipulate you, try to make you maybe agree to things that in a sound mind you wouldn't agree to. But the thing is, you've messed with the wrong person, because I'm the sort of person that even in my most vulnerable state, I can think very clearly. And so, anyways, it's got quite toxic actually. And it's gotten quite anyways, I felt like they were quite jealous of like what I was doing, what I was creating, because whatever I do, they seem to do it straight afterwards. But I've also found that I became very jealous of people this week because of it. So I feel like it passes on. And I identified that because I'm extremely self aware. And I identify emotions that I believe actually aren't sitting with me, and what I believe to be something that I have to work on. Now, 10 years ago, I would have never done that. I'd have gone, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I would take any criticism quite personal. But I do CBT therapy. I do what's called high intensity CBT, and it works for women, especially with ADHD. Now I'm learning how to do it so I can teach other people with ADHD how to do it. And the therapist that's teaching me said that when you have ADHD, when you have that kind of diagnosis, you typically have a tendency to fight back against things that are not right. So I will be the first to tell you that if I don't agree with something, I will say, actually, I don't agree with injustice. It's as simple as that. What I say behind your back, I will say it to your face. And this is the difference. And this is why I don't think people like me very much sometimes, because some people will just stay quiet and not say anything, whereas I'm like, no, I'm gonna fight for this. And so by being in that vulnerable state, someone's gone, I'm going to try and push her buttons. And I've gone, actually, no. And they didn't reply to me when I called them out on it, because I think they probably went, oh dear. But the thing is, it's not a bad thing to actually fight for what you believe in. It's not a bad trait to say it how it is, as long as you're not hurting people. And that's always the mindset that I have. Even if you've hurt me, I'm not going to go out of my way to hurt you back. I'll just say, look, actually, I'm going to set a boundary here. That's not okay. So jealousy is an emotion that I actually identified in myself this week. You know, I saw this life coach on the internet, and I was like, I'm quite jealous of her. She's got like 200,000 followers. Like, what would make me different to her? But then when you start talking to people with a following, like, I'm gonna try and get Tim on soon. Actually, Tim's like, he's like a spiritual absolute warrior. And you know, go and follow him online if you're listening. It's Tim Wild Ascension. So Wild has a H in it. Tim Wild Ascension. And he does like practical ascension practices. And he even said to me, he was like, yeah, but there's only one of you. Like, you thrive in other areas that this other life coach might thrive in another area. You know, you are needed. You have a voice, you are needed. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And so, but with that being said, I think this is why I wrote this post. So I'll read it to you. It's on my Instagram. You can go look it up. It's also I shared it. Where else did I share it? Oh, I think I put it on LinkedIn. But anyway, so jealousy is a normal human emotion. We all feel it at some point, but normal doesn't mean it gets a free pass. Left unchecked, jealousy can turn toxic pretty quickly. It has you comparing, overthinking, and side-eyeing people who are literally just trying to live their life. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Someone else shining doesn't dim your light unless you're too busy staring at them instead of working on yourself, or trying to ruin things that they've created, or sabotaging situations that are beautiful for them. Jealousy isn't something to be ashamed of. It is something to check. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel the insatiable need to consume everything they're doing for yourself? And what I mean by that, just to kind of pass on that, like, why do you feel the need to watch everything they're doing? If you're so jealous of that person, you're actually feeding that. You're feeding that negativity towards yourself by finding that other person above you. Nobody is above anybody. We're all on the same frequency. And well, actually, we're not, but some people vibrate at a lower frequency, but we're all humans with a soul, right? And so no celebrity is better than you. I interviewed Leisha DJ, and she has a podcast coming out this Thursday. I cannot wait to show you when we interviewed. It was so much fun. I was like, I wish I was like low-key slightly jealous of her, because I was like, I wish that I was like her. I could make music. I had a vocal, you know, I had the ability to just feature on a track and, you know, be around my favorite stars. But actually, when I'll leave you to listen to it, but one thing she did say in the podcast is, like, when you are a producer of music, you can't listen to music in the same way again. And so I don't have that. So I can separate a song. However, actually, I can enjoy drum and bass for what it is, you know? So sometimes it ain't all roses, you know? It's not everything. Everything isn't sweetness and light, is what I'm saying. Because it says you can let it turn you bitter, messy, and talking about people behind their backs, sabotaging ideas they have and disrupting their peace. That makes you the problem. Or you can let it motivate you to level up quietly. So that's the key difference. You know, I see, like I said, a life coach, 200,000 followers. That's what I aspire to be, but I'm not going to try and be that life coach. I'm going to continue to be myself, right? Now, let's be honest, clapping for others looks a lot better than competing with them for no reason, or pretending to be a support only to stab them in the back later. Feel it, but acknowledge it. But don't let it turn you into someone you wouldn't even like. Growth over gossip, self-awareness over insecurity. And if it doesn't apply to you, don't force it. But if it does sting, you want to ask yourself why. And, you know, I absolutely feel that we have to look at jealousy as a bigger format, you know, and the if I could put a tune to this, it would be that song. I still get jealous, because we all get jealous of each other by one way or another. Even me, I get jealous of people, but it's what you do with it. You can level up, but what I mean by leveling up is, don't go and be be inspired by somebody and they go, I'm going to take their idea. Like, no, we don't do that. Actually, you create your own idea. You might look at somebody with a charity, say, and they do a charity about domestic abuse, and then you go, well, I'm going to do that. But actually, where's your niche? Where's your niche in that environment? It's like me becoming a DJ and then taking all of Leisha's ideas. You don't do that. You just don't. You find your own little niche, because when you're trying to impersonate somebody else, it shows. Everyone has a light, but that light can't be shined unless you actually take it upon yourself to effectively, like, make yourself a better person, so that light can shine through. Because at the moment, with some people, I'm just seeing green-eyed monsters. I'm just seeing low vibrational energy, bitching, backstabbing. Like I said, what I will say about someone, if someone said, did you say that about me? Yes, I did. And I will say it to your face as well, because life is too short. And I'm a girl in my 30s, and I have learned that the hard way. I've said in my 20s something behind somebody's back, and I panicked when they confronted me about it. But now I'm like, yeah, what's your point? I did say it. But as long as it's not hurting people, it was freedom of speech, isn't it? But I also I did put a Facebook post together. A Facebook post. I actually had to put it on Instagram, my bad. So I'm going to read it to you. Some things don't need to be said out loud. They show themselves in timing, in silence, and who steps forward when the room shifts. I've always been someone who builds with open hands and a clear heart. What you see is what you get. No masks, no hidden moves, no performance for approval. And maybe that's why it stands out and not everyone plays by the same rules. What I say behind your back, I will say to your face, and that is the clear difference. But honestly, you can echo something and still not understand it. You can stand in the same place and never carry the same intention. What's built with care has weight to it. So what I mean by that is that you can effectively build something from scratch, find your little niche, but people will know it's authentic. But when you've got a copycat that's coming along doing the same thing as you because they've seen you do it, but they're doing like for like, it's going to show, okay? Because no one's ever going to be you, right? They try to be you, but they will fail. But my strength and success rides by what I did, not by what anybody else did, what I did. My strength and success rides on that. So honestly, it isn't harsh. It's just uncomfortable for those that will prefer an illusion. I'll always choose honesty, even if it costs me. I'll always choose integrity, even when it's quieter. Some people don't fear your fall, they fear your rise. So they plant doubt and call it truth. So just don't confuse quiet with blind. Even when I paint a smile, I can smell intention a mile away. I was very proud of that when I wrote that, because I thought to myself, actually, you know what it is? I I I feel like I have had so much adversity thrown my way recently in terms of people that you would consider a frenemy. I always see the good in people and invite people into my life. And I don't know if you've experienced this, where you'll make friends with somebody, but you have an icky feeling about them and you gaslight yourself. You're going, well, no, it mustn't be anything. It's just me. I'm making it up in my head. But as time goes on, that it's kind of like you hear the trumpets getting louder. So that's how it feels like with your gut feeling. When you are meeting somebody and the trumpets start getting louder and you ignore it, and it gets louder and louder and louder. And then you think, oh, what have I done? I've invited somebody into my life that did not want the best for me. They actually wanted to stab me in the back. And so what I say by be careful the company that you keep. You can't avoid it at work. You can't avoid it in, everyday circumstances. I was friends with somebody a couple of years ago. We were like literally inseparable. And we were really, really close. And then she started hanging around with these other people. They didn't like me. They made it very clear. They would turn their back to me in conversations, made me feel like, I don't know, like a kid that's being pushed out of the friendship. You can't play with us anymore. That's how it felt. And then when it came to social events and stuff, she'd make excuses, and eventually we just stopped talking. But I see her all the time, and the look she gives me, she hates me, pure hates me, and I only wish her the best, even though she hurt me. And I think that's where we need to be more, stop being so bloody kind to people that would never give you an ounce of their respect. Your safety and priority and your wellness comes before, because I think because we're British, especially if you're watching from the UK, when you're British, you're taught to be polite and kind and respectful and soft. And actually, no, you don't need to do that, honey. You don't. If someone, I would, even if I've got like my probation meeting at work, my job tomorrow, but I'm telling you now, if that meeting went as far as and it won't, but if it was say someone like my boss was being disrespectful to me or whatever, I'll call it out for what it is. I was like, actually, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. Even if it cost me my job, I would be like, don't care, because I believe in sticking up for myself so much, because I've spent a life being quiet and being told to shut up and being told to be quiet, sit down, be a good girl. And actually, I think the strongest people are those that were told to be silent. And I then saw a post, Billy Ray Cyrus, his ex. I actually spoke to her on Instagram. She's gorgeous. I love her so much. She's lovely. He was abusing her. He was an absolute narcissist. Shocked. That I won't repeat that again. But she is healing out loud. Now, this is a massive subject change, but just because someone's been through a domestic abuse doesn't necessarily have to be physical or whatever, right? But let me tell you, it is okay to heal out loud. It is bloody marvelous to heal out loud. And I tell you why, because some of the strongest people have been through the worst things. I have been through domestic abuse myself, right? And here's the thing, I honestly, I heal out loud because I want people to know what I've been through. The things that I was put through by that man. Actually, he doesn't like, he's followed me before. He said things online and stuff like that. Listen, I don't care. I have proof, I have evidence. With any kind of thing, I'll always bring receipts. So healing out loud doesn't mean that the woman's or the man's making it up. Actually, do you know what it does mean? Is that they really have been through it, and they are more than like, they're not scared anymore, so they actually just want to scream it out loud, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're safe and as long as you're not like going, oh, this person at this address. I've never mentioned anyone that has done things to me. I've never said their names out loud, because actually that can be an implication in itself on a legal matter. But what I'm saying is, you're okay to heal out loud. You're okay to talk about what happened to you, because the right people will listen and support you, but the wrong people will exploit you. So just be careful with that. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that today. Like, jealousy is an emotion that, although is very normal, it does have its implications actually, and it can make people feel that they are not enough, they're inadequate. And I always know the type that's inadequate. They feel like they come across as being perfect, and typically there's so much more going on underneath, but that's okay. But let me know in the comments today, have you ever had a friend in your life that ended up being a frenemy? What's been your trumpet moment today? But thank you so much for listening today, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. As you know, I do a solo episode on a Tuesday, and on a Thursday I do a interview with someone. If you want to come on, you don't have to be a musician, but if music has impacted your mental health, I want to hear from you. So take care, my lovelies. All my socials are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening, guys. You can find my podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, and don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. See you next time.